Hey, thanks for taking some time to engage in this thought process, talking about the economy, specifically employment and unemployment numbers, as well as the housing prices and where projections are going here. I want to bring this conversation from a national and a local, and then even just a personal level to see how it can help you, folks you know, friends and family, and people that you're working with. If there's a way that we can bring this message out to them, I want to partner with you to be able to do that. So what I've done is I've taken some of the information from Keeping Current Matters. You may be familiar with them, but they like to take some complex issues and boil them down to simple thoughts that everybody can understand and try to make some solid and confident financial decisions about what they should do in today's market. So let's first talk about, as I mentioned, the unemployment numbers. And we want to hit both the good, the bad, and the ugly. So I don't want to ignore anything. I'm not trying to be Pollyanna and just look only at the the upside here. I want to really be honest and embrace where we currently stand and what the projections are looking like. So last week, the consensus was for over 3 million jobs to have been added in June. Reports came out last week, and it told us in June that we had actually 4.8 million. That's up 50% more than what that expectation was. So that was a real strong, real favorable number. Now, in that increase, that 4.8 million job increase, we actually saw 2.1 million in the leisure and hospitality sector. Now, that makes a lot of sense because in June, we saw a lot of businesses reopening. We saw restaurants and hotels and some of the tourism coming back into play. So that spike that we see there, we certainly are going to feel it here in San Diego and between San Diego and North San Diego counties, where we have an abundance of folks getting out to the beach, getting into the restaurants, getting out and enjoying the summertime. We see that reflected in these national numbers, and we're feeling it here locally. Now, the Bureau of Labor Statistics unemployment rate, there's some interesting things that are embedded here. So back in January and February, the rates of unemployment, when we were down at 3.5 and 3.6, you need to know those were historic all-time lows. Last time we got close to that was back in 1967. It was over 53 years ago. And when we hit those numbers, just in January and February, expectations were that we were on a tear. So everything was going really well. Obviously, March came along, mid-March, so many businesses were shut down because of the COVID pandemic, and we immediately shot up. Now, concerns were that we were going to go up to 20% unemployment. We didn't hit that. We only got up to 14.7. As bad as it is, it wasn't as bad as people had projected. Now, since then, April, May, and finally in June, we've actually seen that unemployment rate trickle down. Now, some economists, Wall Street Journal economists came out and said that U.S. job growth surged last month, underscoring the economy's capacity for a quick rebound if businesses continue to reopen and consumers regain confidence. But a recent coronavirus spike, however, could undermine the trends captured in the latest jobs report. Now, we're already seeing, I'm hearing rumors that we may get from California, out of the state capital, we may have Newsom declaring another setback and shutting down some of our businesses again. So we want to be on the lookout for that. Now, in addition to that, there's temporary unemployment drops. So permanent job losses, they keep rising. So this is the ugly of the equation. So the core unemployment rate, which subtracts out temporary layoffs and adds unemployed who didn't search for a job recently, that jumped to 5.9 in June, and that's from 5% in May. So according to these Wall Street journalists, Jed Kololoko, he's putting out some feelers and testing the water, saying that we've got a lot that we have to be concerned about. So he's talking about core unemployment. Again, takes out those temporary unemployed and those who haven't gone back looking for jobs. And we see that although we were down nights and low in December, January, February, we have continued to see a trend up in that core unemployment rate. So that does undermine negatively the growth in getting back to that strong economy. But we know that that's what everybody's propensity is, to go back to work and to regain their strength and financial stability. So the question continues to come up, and they're asking, is it going to take as long as it took back during the Great Recession or the Great Depression from back in 1929? We're actually expected, instead of a 12-year or a 9-year recovery, they're thinking that we'll be back to those low numbers of employment in just a 4-year time frame. So with that being said, one of the questions is, what's going to happen to the housing market if we have these people who are unemployed and it takes us that much time to get back to where we once were? And the question is, will the bottom fall out of the housing market? So to answer that question, one of the things that everybody's really watching is, are we going to be seeing a lot of homes go into foreclosure? A lot of folks are asking the question, should I be sitting on the sidelines? Am I waiting for foreclosures to happen so I can scoop those up? And I think that the answer is on the contrary to that. So right now, of all the active forbearances, which are past due on their mortgage payments, 77% of them have at least 20% equity in their home. Now, we didn't have that back in 2008. Back in 2008, the lending industry was guilty of putting out a lot of loans out there with zero money down, no income, no assets. Gosh, it was the wild, wild west putting a lot of those loans together. Today, we actually have more equity built up in the homes that are out there, and it's going to give us a lot of safety and security into not seeing these homes go into foreclosure. So these high levels of equity, it provides options for homeowners, policymakers, mortgage investors and services to help avoid a downstream foreclosure activity and default related losses. Now, Black Knight is an aggregator of a lot of data, and they're putting this information out to give us some confidence in the market as to what we should be able to expect. And think about it, if people have equity in their home, why would they go into foreclosure when they could simply sell that home, take profits, put cash in their pocket, and move on to their next option? So the perception is that we're going to see folks weather the storm and get through this to the other side. Nobody wants to go back to where we were back in 2008, where we had such dramatic drop-offs in real estate values. So pricing, the home pricing has been great. We've seen continued increases in home prices. We've seen multiple offers in our local market. Every weekend, gosh, since Memorial Day, I continue to be involved in multiple offer situations where we got buyers who are competing with others to get that home. And we're seeing it in all kinds of different price ranges, from the low end price ranges, middle to the upper end price ranges. Upper end being a little bit softer, a little bit more negotiations going on there. But in that low to moderate income, like right now, around 650, anything between 400, 500, 600, even up to about $750,000 to $800,000. It's such a hot market that we're seeing multiple bids and multiple offers that are going to continue to sustain those higher purchase prices. The good news for consumers who are buying, although we've seen the prices go up, the low interest rates that we've been experiencing have made the affordability factor stay increasing. So more people can afford homes today, even though we've seen the prices go up. Those low interest rates have really given some people some flexibility and made them be able to purchase homes. So the large range of projections that we have for future home prices kind of spans the gamut. So we've got the MBA, Mortgage Bankers Association, and National Association of Realtors, and others are thinking that we're going to have in the next 12 months a positive projection of housing prices. We have Zillow, Houzz, and CoreLogic, who aren't as optimistic. CoreLogic expecting to see over a 6.6% decrease nationally. Now, here in Southern California, we're not necessarily going to follow these trends specifically. With the limited housing numbers that we have and the increasing in population that we have here in Southern California, we're expecting to see expecting to see home prices on the rise. So we're actually seeing new pending sales month over month are up 18.8%. Now, granted, that's coming out of some of the toughest COVID months, but new listings that are being taken are also up 5.2% month over month. Now, that being said, total listings and total listings taken, both of those numbers are down, and that just speaks to the shortage of inventory. So the activity is up month over month, but year over year, we're seeing a decrease, which is leading to that shortage of inventory. So from the buyer's perspective, in a year over year analysis, we're seeing that in both virtual appointments and in-person appointments, we're seeing a national spike up 21.4%. Out here in the West, 19.6%. So even though we had lockdown, you haven't seen the open houses out there, still buyers have been able to access the information, get good, reliable information, working with top realtor professionals who've been able to do virtual presentations. And when they have a pre-approved borrower, they've looked at the home online, they're setting up appointments, they're getting in and following all the right social distancing rules, and they're actually not only looking at homes, but they're actually putting in offers, winning multiple bids, and they're going forward with closed transactions. So summer home buying season, it's off to a roaring start as buyers flood into the market. Realtor.com says monthly traffic hit an all-time high of 86 million unique users in June 2020, which breaks May's record of 85 million users. So where does that put us? Well, 87% of the home sellers, they are concerned that their homes aren't going to sell because of the pandemic and the resulting economic recession. However, with that being said, last month we had over 372,000 homes sold. Remember, it only takes one buyer to be able to find interest in your house and get that home sold. So as we move forward into this crazy market, I really just wanted to share with you some of this information that can bring some transparency and clarity to the folks that you're working with, and perhaps help guide you in some of the decisions that you're making. So if I can help you in any way, if you want to bring this conversation to a live discussion, please reach out to me. Just know that I'm here for you, and I wish you nothing but the best. Take care.